Hey, everybody, welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together, we talk about what's going on in the world of the Auburn family spectrum, better said, the whole of the Auburn experience. On tonight's live stream, we're going to be discussing whatever you want to talk about. That's right. We've been doing this for a little while now. Every Wednesday night, we get together and we just talk about what's on your mind, what you want to discuss, Auburn sports, anything out there that you want to discuss. And sometimes we get into random things as well. Might even get a war dustbuster. Some of you who are watching this will know what that means. If you've been coming to the live streams on Wednesday nights, you will know what that means. As always, please do let me know how the stream is functioning for you all, that if you can hear me, all that good stuff. I've got a new microphone, as you can tell. Always a little bit nervous about how that works, but I think it is working well tonight. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Kyle. I'm the editor of the E2C Network, and we're a family of podcasts and other content that cover the Auburn family discussion, the spectrum, as I call it, out there. So that's what we mainly, who we are, what we do, and we like to get together and just talk with all of you out there tonight. As you're coming into the stream tonight, before we get into all the topics that you want to discuss, I want to do a couple of things. I don't have my normal cue cards, so you'll just have to let me reel them off for you really quick. As you come into the stream, please do make sure you smash that like button. It does help the stream out. It lets other people know that we're live as well, and they'll be able to help find the show. If you are watching the replay, welcome as well. Obviously, we can't interact with you, but hopefully you will still find value even if you're watching this on the replay. There's a couple of things that you can do tonight if you're interested in helping support the content we do. One of those ways is by joining the E2C Network Booster Club. As a quick plug, for those of you that are in the Booster Club, I'm going to be announcing the guest for Auburn Roots episode 31. 31 episodes very soon, maybe even tonight if I get around to it. I see John's here. John, good to see you. John is a member of the Booster Club. Thank you so much for your support. For as little as $1 a month, you get exclusive content that nobody else gets out there from us. So that's one way you can do that. And there's also PayPal or TeePublic store. And the easiest and free way you can do it is just by being here and being a part of streams, listening to the podcast, all that good stuff. All those links are in the description if you want to check that out tonight. Last, not reminder, but how this stream functions. I actually have the capability to allow you onto the show if you'd like. If you choose to do so, take advantage of that. Please be aware that I think you can do audio only, but it is a video functionality mainly. So if you don't want to be on camera, just your voice, I think that is an option there to turn your camera off. We'll find out. We're experimenting with it. If you come on, please do remember this is a family-friendly show. Behave yourself, all that good stuff. The link for that is at the very top of the chat window, pinned up there if you want to access that. Whew, that's a lot of stuff to do without a cue card. Anyway, thank y'all so much for being here. Jack, Spooky Buffalo, John Stokes, Thomas, already see assembled in the chat. Appreciate you guys being here tonight. And we'll get into everything that you guys want to discuss tonight as well. Let's see. Jack says it is good to be live again. I mean, we haven't seen you in a couple of times, buddy. It is good to see you. I figured this was going to be one of the things that a lot of people want to discuss was Finley and the differences, maybe good and bad, compared to maybe a Bo Nix or Demetrius Davis. I had plans to do a shorter video about the depth chart as it stands right now, because I think that's a very interesting discussion, and we'll get around to doing some form of that tonight, but I might still do that video, so I kind of want to hold back a little bit. John and Spooky have done this already, but as you come in, please do post a War Eagle, where you're watching from, city, state, international, all that good stuff. Let's see. Jefferson, Iowa, missing my hometown, loveliest village on the plains. It is home to all of us, no matter what our actual location is. Let's see. Auburn Elvis is in the house. Auburn Elvis is the host of the only that we know of equestrian podcast out there, specifically Auburn Equestrian too. War Horses. If you're not tuned into War Horses, you need to. Obviously, we're not in season right now, so there's not a lot of content to talk about, but I'm sure Elvis will come up with some stuff to talk about very, very soon. But it's a great show, great analysis from him, but we're happy to have Elvis here tonight. Chattanooga is where he's calling in from. Now you'll know where Elvis lives. It's not in Tennessee. Well, it is in Tennessee, but not the wrong part of Tennessee, I guess, is what I should have said tonight. All right. So post your topics, your questions, commentary, derogatory, rebuttal, anything that you want to discuss is on the table tonight. Obviously, the big story of the week being TJ Finley and the excitement, confusion, maybe even frustration. I will say this. I've never seen so many people actually be upset to get somebody to come to Auburn. Let me go ahead and just preface this up front. Huge Bo Nix fan, supporter, and I believe he is the best quarterback we have option still. But I'm always game for some competition. Who doesn't want that? Maybe the competition, but I'm definitely all for having Finley here. Yeah, Jack, we did post yours a little bit up there earlier about his deep ball ability. There, I found it. Yeah, I don't know that I necessarily agree with the deep ball ability just yet because he doesn't have as large a body of work. I think it's easy to make comparisons like that and kind of use them in one favor or the other when you the time differential is just Bo's had more time for us to see his warts. TJ Finley has not. So there's that. My analysis part of the good part of the Tennessee. If we have any other Tennessee people in the house tonight, well, we do have one. Speaking of which, David Chadwick, good to see you. Do you agree that Chattanooga is the best part of Tennessee? It's not bad. I'll be honest with you. It's very pretty. I mean, it's pretty good looking part of Tennessee. Daphne, Alabama, Neil here in East Cobb with me, where I'm located. Good to see all. Man, we got a good crew assembling in here. So you guys haven't missed much. We are Corey's here. Good to see you. Isn't Finley the same quarterback Auburn defense destroyed last season? Yes, he is. So I think that's some of the consternation that has happened with this pickup because TJ didn't have that great of a showing against us and arguably all that season. So there's a lot of people that are questioning this move if it's the right thing for Auburn. I think anybody that wants to come be a Tiger, let him come be a Tiger. And if it works out that he's the better starter, well, okay, then that obviously says something right there. But I don't think he's going to be the starter. Will he play? Probably. Will he start? In my opinion, probably not. I've been wrong before, though. He does agree. No need to ask him about the best part of Tennessee. I'm glad we have Finley. Competition is healthy. The coaching staff is going to pick who they think is right, not who we want. Exactly. So I think all of us are sitting here, armchair quarterbacks, breaking it down, so to speak. Like guys like me, acting like they know what they're talking about. And, it's really just going to come down to what the coaches think is best. And I think what's going to be a big struggle here is, and I'm not trying to stereotype and pigeonhole a certain group of people, but what you'll find is the big time Harsin people. Like I'm a Harsin guy, but I'm not like there's like Harson's the best one out there, are also the Bo Nix, not haters, but they're off that. Typically I've noticed that's just my own non-scientific method that I've looked at. And I think what's going to be interesting is when the big time Harsin guys have to stomach Bo Nix being the quarterback. That's going to be interesting. Of course, I could be wrong. Let's see. He has way more precision. I've seen against Arkansas and South Carolina. The Auburn game was by far his worst performance and the best defense he saw. Being precise against Arkansas and South Carolina last year, in my opinion, not that impressive. Some people are wanting something different, especially since they have seen disappointment, I guess, from Nix. Personally, I think he hasn't gotten a fair shake with multiple OCs. Absolutely. I've talked about this a lot on previous live streams, and I'll keep talking about it. It's a very relevant topic. His story reminds me a lot of the Jason Campbell story. Do you remember how much we wrote off Jason Campbell? I never did, but there was a point too I started kind of like asking the question, all right, what's going on here? But when you really take a step back and you look at the full context of the situation, the kid's not been set up for success. And I would like to see him in a situation where he is set up for success and see what happens there before we write him off. Neil, I'm glad he is here too. I'm not going to turn anybody, I should say there's probably obviously some athletes out there that you never really want to see come to Auburn, but some coaches, definitely. But by and large, 99% of the time, if you choose Auburn, I choose you. So I'm like, isn't that a Pokemon thing or something like that? Where's Clint at? He's a Pokemon fan. He got benched for 3/4 of the season. Well, and I think that's something to consider here. I think part of the struggle with and the polarization of the TJ Finley pickup has been he wasn't a starter. He got benched. How is he going to come in and beat Bo Nix? Or we really think these are the questions people are asking, and I think they're very legitimate questions. I think partially what we need to do is not stop asking those questions because they're valid questions. But I think we're looking too far ahead where in a time where Auburn really just needs to take it one game at a time. We're in a position now. We're going to get too far behind if we stop looking too far forward and just focus on a game at a time. I think Bo will win. However, the 2022 season, he and Demetrius will have an amazing battle, and the best men will win. Pocket passers usually win in Harsin systems. So that's the thing to think about, obviously, but that doesn't mean that Bo won't be a pocket passer. And Demetrius, excuse me, I didn't get corrected on that, but I realized that it's actually spelled Demetrius. Just knocked the microphone. Sorry about that. So I need to start saying that better. Well, we lost to South Carolina and could have and kind of should have lost to Arkansas. Yeah, we did lose to South Carolina. Weren't very good last year. Devin, where I do disagree with you is we shouldn't have lost to Arkansas. You can't, sometimes the ball doesn't bounce your way, literally. I completely understand where you're coming from on that, but the game is won, and it was in Auburn's favor, whether it was supposed to be or not. Neil. So let me just say this. Neil and I think a lot alike. Not only do we live very close to each other, we've never met, but we know we both live in the Marietta region of Northwest Georgia. And Jason Campbell will always have a special place in my heart for not just what he did in that 2004 season, but his story. I value people's story more than their stats. And that's probably honestly why I'm putting more value in Bo Nix right now, because he's got the ability to have a great story. That's not there yet, but he's got the ability to have one. And Jason Campbell has a great story. Cam's got a great story too, but it's got a different feel to it. There's something about the struggle, the natural struggle that comes with being an Auburn family member that people resonate with, and that's why Jason Campbell resonates with the Auburn family. Personally, that's how I think of it. People who are griping need to get over it. Fans didn't bring in any of these players, so they don't get a say in who plays. That's up to the coaches. Let the coaches coach the dang games. But then what's the fun? We got to talk about these things, Elvis. You're ruining my shit. No, I'm kidding. That's the whole point of this. I think it's fun to talk about it. And I think, the way I always ask people to be is, especially here, consider that, and this happens a lot, that the players, the coaches, their family members, they actually follow our stuff and they see the stuff. So anything that you say here, ask the question, would I be willing to say it to their face? It's a good question to think about. To the people saying that Bo won't change and that Finley is a bench guy, need to know that development happens and people change. And I agree with that, Jack, but I think, and I may be reading too much into your statement there, but I think you're probably saying that more in the favor of Finley. And well, no, you're actually, no, ignore that. I didn't read fully there. Your point stands. Development happens, people change. We'll see which one wins out, right? Development or change. We lost nothing to Arkansas. I agree with that. Excited about Donovan Kaufman transferring from Vandy. He knows Mason's defense. Is anybody else here? Quick poll of the room. Is anybody else shocked that we haven't pulled any more Vanderbilt or Boise State players? Anybody? I'm shocked. Like legitimately shocked. Especially with this year, the first year transfer rule. I thought seriously, like legitimately, we're going to be pulling in blue and orange, Boise people, gold and black, Vanderbilt people, and left and right. And all we got was like 2 staff members from Boise and then maybe 3 staff members, and then 1 player from Vanderbilt. So I know it didn't really matter, but it's just funny that that's the only ones that have happened so far. But yes, I'm excited to have Kaufman here as well. Always excited to have more players. Spooky says he's a little bit shocked. I am too. Thought there'd be more. I liked what Finley had to say about coming to Auburn. I hope he stays positive, even if he doesn't start. I don't want the bad mojo in the locker room. I think what Bo Nix did on social media goes a long way in fostering that type of relationship. Instead of staying back silent, he welcomes the guy with open arms. And I think that shows a lot of leadership, first of all. And I think it shows a willingness to compete and understanding that he's got his work cut out for him. So yeah, I think hopefully, that has already fostered a good relationship between the two, no matter how it shakes out. So we'll see. Maybe the BSU like the Smurf turf. Is there anyone really out there who wants an orange or a blue field? Really? Does anybody really want to see it? I don't. It's nice for the novelty factor of the Boise State people, but for me, definitely not. Let's see. Andy Avalos has Boise State just like Harsin and Peterson did, under control, and believe in the culture. No one leaves because the culture is amazing. Well, Harsin left, so it must not have been that amazing. No, look, yeah, I think there is something to be said for programs like Boise State, where they're able to, with very few heavy dips in their success pattern, maintain that over time. I think that says something about culture. I would agree with you, Jack, that there's a reason that people want to be there. I also find it equally shocking that if that's the case, why would Harsin want to come to Auburn? Now, the guy's a competitor. If anybody thinks he's not a competitor, you haven't been paying attention. So I do think that he values the challenge, and he's probably a guy that wanted to be in the SEC eventually, no matter if Boise State was his home or not. So yeah, it's kind of cut that either way. Auburn doesn't play on AstroTurf, so we didn't get any Boise players. Of course, they're used to playing on the fake stuff, so might not feel the same or run the same or move around the same. Orange turf, since orange paint will kill the grass. Spooky, we learned that last week when Clint was here, right? By the way, if you're not a frequenter to the live shows here on Wednesday night that we've been doing, I try to bring in Clint as much as possible. Clint Richardson is the owner of the Auburn Uniform Database. You know him as the uniform guy on social media. Does a lot of great work. And yeah, he comes on here and we basically do show and tell with him. Because he's got a lot of Auburn stuff. I've gotten a lot of, well, I shouldn't say a lot, some stuff from him. One thing I need to put together that I probably shouldn't have. But he's not here tonight. I always hope that he'll pop in even if he's not on video, but he's probably busy. Oh, are you serious? Is this really going to go over to people now? I'm going to pull that off the screen before people start catching like wildfire. I think Harsin left Boise because he can't play for a championship. He can, but he's going to have to play the best schedule in college football. He's going to have to schedule it. And that's just not doable at their level. You know, they can get a Power 5 win against a good Power 5 team pretty consistently. But to do it 3-4 times, most college football teams can't do that, much less at Boise State. So, yeah. Hey, Neil, you were here earlier. I already addressed War Dustbuster. It's already been said. Let's see. The fan base needs to get behind Harsin completely. He retained the recruiting class from where it was. Let him and his staff do the thing. This is a culture change for the better for Auburn. As I tend to do, let me push back a little bit on that. And let me preface by saying I am a Harsin fan and supporter, but I also question the move, not of Harsin, but to change coaches this season. People that are asking for complete behind Harsin need to be asking themselves, were you the same thing for those that were asking of Gus Malzahn? I'm not saying you weren't, But I think it's interesting. We had a group of people, a lot on social media, the loud ones, the ones that just cause problems, that were very time for a culture change. How dare you stand behind Coach Malzahn? And now they're expecting everybody else to get in line with it. Didn't really work that way. But anyway, just my thoughts on that. But here's what it is. Obviously a culture change. It is a change completely. I mean, that Auburn decided they wanted a complete wholesale change, and boy golly, are they going to get it. And we're going to see how much it's worth it. I think in the end it'll probably work out. But I think I don't think it's going to be as smooth as a lot of people are expecting. Let's see. Neil. Oh, there we go. Let's see, back up here. This season, no, they changed coaches last year before it was over. They changed coaches last years before. I'm not understanding. Let's see. I think both Auburn and Boise both have very close-knit culture that attracted him there. Yeah, I think so too. I think even Coach Harsin said that when he read the creed, it spoke to him, in terms of it said, that's what I value. That's what I believe. And I think, I'd take him at his word at that. Pat Dye said some similar things. Remember, Pat Dye came in as an Alabama guy and a Alabama influenced guy. So, if we can accept Pat Dye and now revere him as one of our most special people in Auburn history, I've had complete faith we can do the same for Coach Harsin. So when I did the whole questioning of the Coach Harsin thing and the statement about we need to get behind him completely, I am behind him completely. I think the majority of the Auburn fan base is, but I think there's also needs to be an understanding that there was another side to that story that wasn't being reciprocated the other way. I think there's going to be some frustrations being aired this season, especially if things don't go the way that people are hoping they're going. I wasn't in favor of the Gus firing, but the ship sailed. It's Harsin or bust now. Ride this roller coaster wherever it goes, baby. Love it. Auburn Elvis. Love it. Love it. Pat Dye was a UGA guy, but he was trained under, he spent a little time with Coach, Bear Bryant as well. That's why I changed it and said influenced. He was a UGA guy, yes, but had some, my point was, if we can take a guy that spent time, was associated with the Alabama football program, we can take a guy from Boise State and accept him as well. Another good point, Jack. And to those who want full support of Harsin, keep in mind Saban didn't have full support in 2007. See where he is now. So here's the thing too you need to think about is, sometimes support has to be earned. For me personally, I disagree with that, but I won't cast that judgment across the entire Auburn fan base or cast that expectation, because for me, I believe that we should be supporting them no matter what, outside of a few circumstances, which are neither here nor there tonight, but I think those are probably obvious. But yeah, I think that, it'll be interesting to watch a season probably where there's a very, not a split fan base, but a fan base that's watching very quietly in the background. There's going to be a lot of people that were upset with the change that will be voicing their opinions, and to see that clash happen is going to be pretty interesting. I have a question. I remember a player when I was a kid, they called him Electron Williams. What was his real name? Anybody else out there? Anybody? I have no clue. I cannot remember. I mean, the only Williams I can think of: Cadillac, Ontarius, Trey Williams, Travis Williams. There's been so many Williams at Auburn's over the years. So I don't know who that could be. Somebody in the chat, help us out. Still can't get over that last UJ title came at the hands of an Auburn grad. See, and I think that's what makes the Auburn UGA thing so, so special, is because of our shared history like that. A UGA guy came to Auburn. Auburn guy went to UGA. It's a very interesting shared history. I said it Not a Pat Dye fan. I said it. He believed football first, education second. Hey, that is real spooky. So I'm trying to process that statement. I'm very much the word is student athlete. Student comes first. That's changing more and more these days. I understand what you're saying. I think is a different time too. I'm not saying that makes it right or anything like that, but I don't know. I don't fully agree with that concept that he believed in football. I think he believed in what football taught. There was a different type of education during his time, and it happened sometimes on places like the football field, the school of hard knocks, so to speak. Was it Daryl Williams that was Electron? Daryl Electron. That was it. Daryl Electron Williams. That's got to be it. That's good. I'd love to have been called Electron. I said this, I think, recently to someone. I've had some favorite linebacking cores over the year. One of those being Travis Ontarius and Kevin Sears. You're going to be hard pressed to find another group that excited me more than Deshaun Davis, Trey Williams, and Daryl Williams. That was a fire group, and we got one here now too. But yeah, that was a good linebacker core. Felix is in the house. Felix, also a member of the Booster Club. Thank you, Felix, for your continued support. Much, much appreciated. Let's see. War Report. Yeah. So usually I go online. I go live now because I know War Report goes on after or at 9:00. So I know some of you might like to hop in here and join the discussion before they get started. So that's kind of why I decided to start doing it here on a regular basis. But yeah, they're pretty cool guys as well. So we'll send you over there when they're done. Strength and conditioning, spark development, and connections in the workout room create chemistry. I agree with that. Contest. I don't look like it, but I was a football player at one point. But yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. That stuff does get built there. Let me back up here. I'm trying to catch back up on some of these comments here. How would you feel if CBS decides to put the A&M Alabama game on primetime and puts Auburn Georgia game at the 3:30 slot on October 9th? I would think it's disrespectful to the rivalry. I don't think so. I think you're thinking about the 3:30 slot is almost like another version of prime time. Now, if they put it at the 11:00 slot, then yes, that is a slap in the face because that's where teams go to die, especially Auburn. At 3:30 slot, Auburn and Georgia play at 3:30 all the time on CBS. So I would say that us getting 3:30 as opposed to prime time is not disrespectful. I think it's just who's going to be the better showing that year or this season. We'll find out. Be a little bit earlier in the season to know how Auburn's going to be looking the rest of the year. But who knows? They may be riding a little momentum if they upset Penn State. And yes, it would be an upset. I know a lot of you don't want me to say that, but it will be an upset if Auburn beats Penn State, in my opinion. Way behind here. Let's see. Auburn has the best named football players. Yes, they do. Let's name some of them now. Well, at one point they had the Royal Flush. They had like Tyler Queen, Brandon King, Prince Tegawanago Jr. I'm forgetting. I used to have these down pat. No, I've completely forgot some of them as well. Duke Williams, all the royalty names. But then you've got Ben Obumanu, Devin Aromashadu, as I called them, the Ooh brothers. And then you've got, I'm trying to think of Appreciate Rodriguez and Rodriguez Smith, the like opposite side wide receivers, both had Rodriguez in their names. I know that's not unique, but I just found it funny that our two prime wide receivers at one point were Rodriguez on the other sides. It's happened a lot. Then you've got Marcavius, Big Cat Bryant. You've got Dontavius, Montravius. It's crazy how we get the interesting names here. Spooky talking about the UGA game. Well, ask the room here. How does everybody else feel about the UGA game? being moved up. I was upset at first too, but if we're not going to get the switch over to the East and making us Alabama's cross-divisional rival, we're not going to get that problem fixed anytime soon. So we really needed that to happen. I don't hate it though, because what it does potentially is in most seasons sets up a scenario where you've got in the if you break down the season into thirds, 12 games, right? So 4 sets of games, or 3 sets of 4 games. You've got LSU in one of them, typically UGA in one, and then Alabama in the other. The 3 biggest rivals, the 3 biggest games usually for us, all kind of nicely packaged in each of those sections. Yep, CBS won't be airing after 2023. Still a long way off, though. Bo Jackson, Big Hurt. Bo's not really a fun name, though. It's just fun to say now because of what he did, but Big Hurt, yes. The round mound of rebound. Oh, Jack, you've had to sell your tickets to the Penn State game? I know that one hurt. I said this actually the last stream we did, not the last Wednesday night stream, but I had plans to go to Penn State. Plans meaning I was planning to purchase a ticket when they came available, but I'm just not going to be able to make the trip because I got a lot going on during that time. Smoke Monday. Prince Tega want to go Jr. Yes, want to go. Noah Igbenogany. I used to call him Igbenogene because I couldn't pronounce things. Igbenogany. Nick Fairley, the Destroyer Tank. Yes, Cadillac, the Hummer, as they tried to attach to Ronnie Brown forever. But yeah. Met my wife the weekend of the UJ game back in 2010. Well, isn't that special? And you actually got a win out of that one too. That's pretty awesome. So that was actually my senior year at Auburn. We obviously won the whole dang thing, and I got engaged right after the season in front of the championship trophy. She's downstairs right now. I made some big speech about how like this trophy doesn't mean anything to me if I can't have you in my life, something other. I can't even remember what I said, but it sounded good at the time, I thought. Yes, I think I misspoke or they miswrote or something. Yes, Frank Thomas is the Big Hurt, but they were saying Bo Jackson, Big Hurt, like saying those are some of the fun names together. Unbeaten Lake, I agree with you. And somebody said it in the last stream we talked about that they hope that the Penn State doesn't do the whiteout game. I hope they do. Is there anyone out there that doesn't want them to do the whiteout games legitimately? Anybody? I mean, we're not going to ridicule you, but I'm just curious. I know it's going to get them hyped. That's their big thing that they do. It's their little gimmick, woo, woo, woo. I want to see that on the screen, like with Auburn there, because when we hopefully dash their hopes and dreams, it'll be beautiful. Beautifully just pristine. Just white t-shirts everywhere. Completely soured with sweat and tears after they got a loss handed to them. I hope they do it. And I wish I could be there to see it. Because I'd be the guy that wears something like highlighter yellow just in the middle of them just to mess up the pattern. Oh, Tavoris is here. Good to see you, man. Casanova McKenzie, that's another good name too. Obviously Auburn's not exclusive to the interesting names, but it just feels like we've had a lot of them over the years. We need to do a podcast about the top 10 best Auburn athlete names. A lot of those are going to be football ones, but there's going to be some other ones as well we can probably find out there as well for interesting names. I got married back in 2006. Groomsman cake was Jordan Hare Stadium. Ooh, I bet that was real pretty. If you're not a member of by the way, we do have a Facebook group. It's called the Auburn Family Tree. It is our E2C network dedicated one where you can hang out with us and talk about Auburn stuff. It's a little bit different than most of your message boards and other Facebook groups. Our big thing is if it's not productive criticism, we're not going to entertain that there. Like if you're just saying, oh, so-and-so sucks and stuff like that, so-and-so needs to be fired, that's not your place for this. There are plenty of other places where that can be had. But this is a place if you want to come and just hang out, share stuff, have fun, have some constructive criticism conversations, we can do that. But That's on Facebook if you want to join that. I said that to say, Neil, you need to like put it, if you got a picture of that, I want to see it in the Facebook group. Send it there. Maybe Auburn should get Waterboy player, usually a beast on defense. Have we run them out there in spring practice to see how they look? Maybe they would. If they do, I hope we beat the pants off of Penn State. Yes, I would as well. It'd be nice to beat them. Jordan Hare. Your cake was Jordan Hare Stadium. Kevin wants them to do the whiteout as well. Anybody else have an Auburn themed cake out there? I did. It wasn't as cool as having Jordan Hare Stadium, but I think what it was like I think it was white on the inside, chocolate icing on the outside, but then it had like orange and blue ribbon stripe things going down the sides of it. It was really pretty. Or maybe it was. No, that's not what it was. That's not what it was. Jessica's was white and chocolate on the inside. Mine was white icing on the outside. On the inside was blue and orange. It wasn't tiger stripes, but it was stripes, you know. I remember that now. It was amazing. And that cake was so good. Even Jessica agreed that my groomsman cake, my cake, was better than hers. Hers was great. But there was something about that Auburn cake that was so, so good. Wife wouldn't let me. Iowa fans, they're the worst, aren't they? Next to Alabama fans, Iowa fans. I do have a pic. I also have a vid of me and my family singing "About to Get It." Look, the Facebook group, man, that's the place to be posting these things. That's what it's about. So come on over there, share that stuff out. I'd be happy to see it over there. Auburn Family Tree. You can find it. It is attached to like the E2C Network Facebook page. So if you can't find it, you could go there and you could probably find it under groups or whatever. But that's there if you want to take advantage of that. All right, we're about it's almost 8:40. I'm not going in away, but I'm just kind of making sure I'm aware how much time we got left. Because I do want to get out of here a little bit before War Report goes, so you guys can shift on over there if you'd like. But I hope you guys are having a great week. Is there anything else on y'all's minds, Auburn-wise? Auburn did share in their images of their game jerseys getting in, which we saw people talk about. I hope that Clint guy doesn't try to break these down. I will inform you that we did talk to him. As soon as those came out, there's nothing new about it. It's just the traditional jerseys. That doesn't mean there's not going to be something new down the line. But the standard jerseys are in and have a line. If you looked at the picture they showed on Twitter, I think it was Owen Papo's number that was in the front. So Owen is going to be a very big leader for Auburn. I know that a picture doesn't really mean that, but you know, sometimes things are done on purpose. Is the transfer portal closed now, or is there still some recruits we can get? My understanding is it is still wide open. Transfer portal, open sesame is still happening. Now, remember, I am a guy that is not a huge fan of the transfer portal. I think it's one of the worst things that has happened to college football. Now, will Auburn benefit from it? Of course. Will Auburn be hurt because of it? Already has been. So, I will, I kind of wish the transfer portal hadn't happened. When we take these little, in my opinion, and I know this is not the collective opinion here, we keep taking these little steps to college football becoming a true amateur or minor league for the NFL. And this is one of those steps. I'm going to open this can of worms here. Paying players is the same thing as well. Now there's a convoluted discussion, hard to break it all down into one, solid conclusion. It's tough though, real tough. Can we recruit Aaron Rodgers? I think personally, I don't want any part of Aaron Rodgers. I'm still bitter that the Packers took him before Jason Campbell. Obviously, it worked out for him. Still bitter about it, though. So, no, I do not want Aaron Rodgers. I think we will grab one more O-line before the portal closes just to add depth. That's what we need to do, Thomas. I 100% agree with you there. I'm shocked we haven't done more with that, which can tell you a couple different things, right? Either they're not impressed with what's out there, or enough to go after a ton of them. Maybe the one we bring in potentially is worth it. But if you're not seeing a lot of that happening, that tells you a couple of things. Either the ones out there that are available are not that as to worth it to the staff, or the staff is comfortable with what they have and thinks that they can use this season. Which one is it? I don't know. Based off how I've seen the last 2 seasons go, I think we might want to get one transfer at least out of there just to have a little depth, maybe a little variance in what's going on there on the offensive line. If you don't want to compete, then leave. That's if you want competition. Coke here? Stay here? Is that what you meant? Yeah, like Jack, I agree with that mentality to a point. But I would much rather people stay and be a part of our team, though. We don't want fossils about Aaron Rodgers. It's funny to watch Aaron Rodgers' stock continue to fall in the NFL after the way he's been. It's a testament that social media will kill. And I know that he wasn't posting a lot of stuff on social media. There was like an interview he did and stuff like that. But it's funny to watch. Not funny. Shouldn't say that. It is interesting to watch someone that was riding so high in the NFL. That's how quickly it ends for you. Yes, he did win 1 Super Bowl. That's why I said it worked out well for them to pick Aaron Rodgers over Jason Campbell. It still doesn't make it right in my eyes. I used to be a big time Packers fan. They hurt me when they didn't take Jason Campbell, and then they continued to take too many Alabama players. Yes, I carry that with me over into professional sports. I just do. I really take it to heart. So if you're a professional GM out there, if you want me to support your team, don't draft Alabama players. Simple as that. I know that's petty, but that's just who I am. And I accept myself because of it. Here, let me ask the room. We can keep talking and bouncing around. Anybody going to be watching War Ready this summer, the basketball league with all of the Auburn basketball former players? Anybody going to be watching that? I am. Think it'll be a lot more successful. I'm not saying they're going to win the whole thing. But definitely, hopefully win more than last year, which was none. Green Bay also picked up Auburn players. Yes, but they had proportions-wise, it was more Alabama players. Now, granted, they were putting more in. I get it. I understand. I didn't say it was a logical thing. I just said what I said. Corey, there was a moment in time where I thought Jason Campbell and the Redskins were about to turn the corner together. I remember it was an issue of Sports Illustrated that when I was getting it regularly, I don't anymore, where it was their NFL preview. And I remember not just by reading that, but everything seemed to kind of be pointing the right direction for Jason. And then I think he went to the playoffs like 1 time with them. I think it was the season after that. I was like, this is the year he puts it together, and it just never panned out. Yep, Kevin Green and Montravius Adams are good examples of them, but those examples are few and far between. Is Sir Charles playing? Oh, in the basketball league. I don't know that Charles can get up and down the way he used to. The round mound of rebound does a lot of sitting around now, I'm sure. I bet his knees are hurt after carrying his big old self around for so many years. Wouldn't it be funny, though, if Charles Barkley coached the team? So imagine that. Charles Barkley coaching the team. That you want to talk about all-stars? That would be an amazing thing to happen. I know they picked up a lot of defensive backs. I think, wasn't Kirkpatrick there at one point? I just remember every season it felt like after Jason Campbell, they were at least drafting 1 or 2 Alabama players. Look, I know it doesn't make sense for Matt. That's the reason I started fading on them. But yes. So, and this is a great point here, Neil. I will give them the Bart Starr exception. Bart Starr is a great human being. Met him in person. We actually have a signed Packers helmet with his name on it. He is the one Alabama former player that I forego all my displeasure with because of what a great human being he is. And I'm sure there are many other Alabama fans and players out there like that, but he's the only exception. My mother, I guess, who's an Alabama fan, is probably in that category too, but she really doesn't care about that much about the sports. But Bart Starr is a great human being, so it's hard not to like him. And he's a great player too. Part of Packers history. So again, my hatred for the my displeasure with the Packers of the recent years doesn't make sense except to me, and I stand by that. Because it only makes sense to me. Let's see. I'm trying to think about what else has happened. If you guys haven't heard, Auburn did approve that they're going to get a Buc-ee's. They're still working out the details for that. If you don't know what a Buc-ee's is, you need to. I'm not the biggest fan out there, but they are pretty awesome for a lot of reasons in terms of what it brings in terms of what it's going to do for Auburn is what excites me. And that was a big thing that the Auburn City Council approved the site that they were going to be planning to build on, which is, so if you remember, if you're coming from Montgomery, there's 3 Auburn exits. The new technology one, the main one, and then the one after that, which is kind of like between that and Tigertown. It is at the first one now. Not the main one, not the last one, but that first one coming from Montgomery, or the last Auburn exit if you're coming from the northbound. That's where it's going to be. Look, Buc-ee's culture is going to take over Auburn, and it's going to be ridiculous, and it's going to annoy me. But I promise you, this is a good thing. I'm excited for it, not because of it's a Buc-ee's, but because of what it's going to do for the city of Auburn, and what it's going to do for the students, and what it's going to do for game day stuff. It's going to be solid. There are a lot of reasons to like that coming to Auburn here in the near future. Let's see. I'm trying to think what else is out there in the spectrum of Auburn stuff. Obviously, not a lot of basketball news right now. We've kind of slowed down after we picked up the Georgia player. I think we're all kind of just waiting on pins and needles now for JT Thor, which, if I remember correctly, July 6th is his deadline to decide if he's going to stay in it. I think if you're looking at this thing long enough, it feels like JT Thor is just going to wait this one out and see what happens. I'm kind of leaning towards him not coming back at this point. I'd still like to see Auburn get one more point guard option. I know Katie Johnson we've got a lot of sort of point guard options, and one solid one. And the guy from Memphis, I believe, but we really kind of need, in my opinion, one more solid point guard option to make me feel a lot better about that situation. But the point is this: Auburn has no shortage of talent that is going to be at its disposal, and maybe a point guard is not so much needed. A true point guard is not going to be super needed, except for that one option we have there. Corey, if you're asking what the status of the baseball team in terms of what's happening, or if you're just asking my opinion, what's happening is that they're out of my understanding is they can't make the NCAA tournament with their record. They would have had to have won last night out of the single elimination, and probably won at least one more, if not 2 more, to really get consideration for it. That was my understanding. Baseball team, it is literally the year of struggles, and it's a lot of them were just bad luck. I know that's the not fun answer to have, because it doesn't really, it's kind of like a non-committal answer, but really that's what it is it just was bad luck this year, unfortunately. There are some things that are frustrating. The late game pitching options decision, but a lot of those were affected by injuries. I would again stress my philosophy of waiting past this year to make drastic changes. And I feel fairly confident that we're not going to see like any coaches changes or anything like that, even at the assistant level, because there's already been so much turnover within the athletic department. I think Alan Green, personally, if I was him, needs to show stability at this point. I think there comes a point where there's too much of cleaning house. And I think that point has been reached. I'm not him, though. I could be wrong. And when I say cleaning house, I'm not saying Butch Thompson's going anywhere. I would say like the assistant coaches and stuff like that. Really, that falls on Butch Thompson more than Alan Green, but he certainly has a say in it as well. Joe, my man, we're kind of at close to the end time here, but I'm glad you popped in. Joe is also one of our Booster Club members. You can be too for as little as $1 a month. That is it. $1. Get you all access to pretty much, not everything, but a lot of things there. And you help support what we do here. So please go check it out. Links are in the description. Good to see you, Joe. What's on your mind, my friend? If you've, since you're just getting here. So yeah, softball too. I know one of the things that people are discussing a lot is, should there be a coaching change there? I'm of the opinion no, but I understand people's trepidation with the program at this point. Although arguably they had a better year than baseball. So the difference between baseball and softball is, in my opinion, is that one coach is more likable than the other. It's really what it boils down to. Hey, FYI, AU grad is the head coach of Chicago Cubs. Andy Warder won a World Series with them. David Ross, my man. It's good stuff. I thought, though, he didn't graduate until after the fact. Do I have that wrong, Neil? I thought he went to Florida to finish out his career and graduated from there. Did he come back? I may have all that wrong. Or am I even talking about the right person? Am I selling season tickets? Don't have season tickets. Yeah, I've not ponied up that cash yet. I'll pull the curtain back for you. We have requested to, and when I say me, I've requested to be a member of the media there. They are very tight on who they allow in there, and unfortunately, podcast networks are not high on the list, especially ours. But you can change that by continuing to listen and leave us reviews on iTunes and continue to show them that we're very legitimate. But I say all that to say that I was hoping never to have to get season tickets, but they are, some of the other, we've had access to the other programs like soccer. I was going to have access to baseball before the pandemic. Don't know how that would go now. So I was never going to need to have season tickets in my view, but looking that way. Michael, good to see you, my man. We are winding down on our time, but still time to get in some comments and questions. Transfer U, yes. We have fully embraced Transfer U, and I don't like it. I like having players coming to Auburn. Don't misread me here. Mishear me. I just don't like the heavy reliance upon that. It scares me. It just scares me. All right, last couple things. We've got about 6-ish minutes left before I want to sign off here. Please do post your comments and questions that you have here, kind of rapid fire at the end. I know basically we've been bouncing around a lot, but here you go. If you want to help support the network, you can do that by a couple of different ways. We've already talked about one of those, the Booster Club. All the links are going to be in the description where you can listen to the podcast. Auburn Roots, Booster Club members, you're going to know the new guest before anyone else because I finally confirmed, and it's unique. It's not really sports related, but it isn't everything in Auburn Roots sports related at some point. But you're going to know it before anybody else. Really excited about this one. I was very shocked I got a yes on this one. And then there's also PayPal. If you want to do a one-time donation to the network, there's TeePublic. You can get our t-shirts and other gear. And then obviously the Booster Club, which I already mentioned that. And the easiest thing to do, smash that like button here. Subscribe, notification bell. We're still on that journey to 900 subscribers. Would love to get there sooner rather than later. You can help us by doing all those things. All right. The thoughts on the transfer quarterback. Happy to have anybody who wants to come to Auburn. If you think that he's going to beat out Bo Nix at this point, I beg to differ. But there you go. That's just me. Favorite transfer coming in? Well, if you're talking about basketball, the KD Johnson thing, because it just sticks in the craw of the UGA fans. Football, I do like bringing TJ Finley in because I think competition is good. And I didn't even address this. I like the TJ Finley transfer simply for the depth factor. Because think about it this way, and I'm not going to take credit as the first one that said this because I've seen it talked about a lot. Demetrius Davis was brought in for a particular system. That system, that coaching staff has left. Doesn't mean he can't fit into the new one. I would be surprised if that's not a transfer is not explored by him in the future, especially the way things seem to be going at this point. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to beat out Bo Nix. So, in my opinion, no matter what TJ Finley is saying, he's coming in here. He has to win the spot because it's not his right now. He is a backup who will probably see significant time, but he's a backup until otherwise stated. Arch Manning. Auburn's not really in the running for him, are they? The son of, which of the Mannings is he the son of? I can't remember. I think there should be one transfer after that. You're stuck. It's not fair to coaches' teams to bounce around to multiple teams. Cough, Big Cat Bryant. I mean, I don't blame Big Cat because that window was open and he took it. I will also say, I think the transfer option helps a lot of players, but it causes a lot of problems. And like we talked about earlier, we're losing the amateurism of of college sports with what's going on with potentially paying players, transfer portals, all this stuff. It's slowly becoming, and things change. Things need to, evolve over time, but there's some patterns starting that I do not like. Yes, he is back at UCF, back with Gus. A lot of players went with Gus. Damio, defensive back, not shocked at it whatsoever. I would have been more shocked if a bunch of players didn't go with Gus. He was very much loved by the players. When you were hearing these rumors about he lost the locker room, I'm sorry, that was bull. It really was. The players loved him by and large. Of course, there's always going to be some that don't. But I am shocked that players didn't want to come from Boise to Auburn as much, Vanderbilt to Auburn as much, because the option was definitely open if you have been paying attention to the transfer portal process, because a lot of people had the option to come, and still a lot of people have the option to come to Auburn at this point if they want to. So here's what we've got going on. Baseball's done. Softball is done. Track and field is still happening if you've not been paying attention. Jessica and I will be back breaking down the NCAA preliminaries that are happening right now. And but really, sports is about to be done. It's about to kind of enter that interesting period where there's not a lot to talk about. So we'll be getting creative on the podcast network. Maybe some top 10s. If you want to see us tackle some certain topics on a podcast, feel free to post those on social media. Send us a message. We're always willing to take suggestions. If you want to get involved on the network, if you think your voice needs to be heard, let us know. We'll talk about it. We are where the Auburn family speaks is our motto, and that means you too. South Carolina Auburn with Bobo. I wasn't so worried about that one, but yeah, it could have happened. Any news from the bass fishing team? Obviously, they were reinstated. They're competing. I think, excuse me, I don't really understand how that sport works all that much, but what I saw, they swept the podium, so to speak, like in track and field. Like first, second, third place in something. So clearly very good. So it's good to have them back. All right, I am 1 minute. I know a lot of you are already leaving. Thank y'all so much for being here. As you head on out, whether you're leaving or you're going over to the War Rapport, if you do go over there, please tell them that E2C Network sent you and say hello and War Eagle to them. And so we'll say good night here. Thank y'all so much. We'll be back again next Wednesday to hang out a little bit. Who knows, may have a special guest. Hopefully some of you will be brave enough next time to call in. That option is always here. And until then, my friends, we'll talk to you very soon. Stay tuned and subscribed, and War Eagle.